beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Would you be my neighbor? Got to get the people, got to get the people what they want. I am so discombobulated right now because Bay is back in town.
Oh, we love when
everybody
Bay's in
who
town.
follows me. My baby is here. My baby. And I didn't expect my baby to arrive. Like, they literally picked Bay up 11 o'clock in Atlanta, Georgia. How long does it take to drive? I drove it.
Yeah, what is that about?
Oh, that's me.
Nope,
Oh,
that's
that's
me.
you?
That's me today.
So I don't know what's going on.
Hey, listen, they was on the truck routes, but listen.
She said they're outside of my house right now.
It's a perfect day for, luckily the sun came out. It's a perfect day for it to be in town.
Well, first of all, I don't take the top down.
Yep.
Until it's 70 degrees. So that means I got to ride around in a two-seater with no top down. You better let somebody know it's going to be a great show today. I've got guests coming. I've got guests here. I have 2 judges, and I have a boss lady.
A boss.
Everybody's scared of her. They're scared of her. They are so scared of her. She is the nicest person in the world. So listen, I want you to let somebody know we're live and on the air. Welcome to all of you who are on social media. Hey, Veronica. Hey, Sandra. Hey, Jennifer, and everybody who is on this morning. Listen, I got a good show coming up about jury duty, and I want to know that here's the question of the day. If you get a jury duty notice, will you? Well, you better answer, and I'm going to tell you what.
I'm out of the city limits.
So here was my answer, and I'm not sticking to. I don't know. Because that day was so traumatic for us, for the city, and me at that time as council president, and I'll just always remember, and I wanted to just start the show with that respect, of being at my son's first play.
Yeah.
And he was so excited for me to see him in this play and getting those text messages of 1 shot at tops. And I was like, okay, I can make it through this.
Yep.
Then 2.
Yep.
Then 3.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting there going, I have to leave. I've got to get home. I got to get over to tops. And then 6. And I remember I'm on a row with other people, and I'm at the end. Mm-hmm. And I've got to cross over these people.
Yep.
And Jaden had not yet come on stage. And it was like, what do you do? And that tearing and getting in the car and crying, first of all, not even knowing what happened at Tops, knowing I had to leave my son.
Yeah.
To Uber. And somebody said, I said, is church empty? They said, it's a lawyer in the back. And I go in the back, and it's Ben Crump. And I go, what are you guys doing? And he said, we're waiting for Uber. I said, we'll take you. And we took them out to dinner, and we made sure that they got around for the rest of the week. But I don't know if I am, and I hope this doesn't sound, I don't know if I'm mentally prepared to be at memorials right now. And so to those of you, because I think sometimes we play so hard that we're not empathetic with people who still have trauma and still dealing with it. And there are days when I wake up when I know my attitude isn't going to be that great.
Yep.
So I stay away from people as best I can, right?
Yeah,
I come back into my office, I close my doors, I let them know that day is like one of those days. And I am not sure if I'll just say it. I don't know if I feel like being bothered with people who are extra.
No. Mm-mm.
I really don't know. I can deal with the families because they're hurting still. But I think for me, it's a day of solitude, a day of quiet, a day of reflection. And then if the Lord puts on my heart, I need to be somewhere, or if that was something, then I'll figure it out. But right now, I'm not even looking forward to the day.
No, and I really don't. I think, like I said, my goal is always to be out before they start ringing bells and everything. And I just, it's like you said, I can still remember every moment of the day. I remember the notices we were giving. I remember running down the street. I remember what the young men were screaming at you as we were walking
Remember
to the
we
Apollo.
were screaming?
Yeah,
They were hollering, and they weren't being disrespectful. No. They were hurt. And these are these dudes from the street.
Yeah.
And they're saying, Pridgen, what we gonna do? What we gonna do? And I just remember that moment, and you remember I had the meltdown from just one news agency after another, and I'm in the middle of an interview where we got ready to, and I said, how many more? I said, we're done, right? And you said, no, we've got, and I said, cancel them all. And I just went home and sat in the dark. So my heart goes out to every family member and to our community at large. But give a pass to those who really mentally don't feel in a space yet, and including those families to do that. But my heart and my love for our community has never been more strong. And so we open up this show with remembering those folks. And those of you who are listening at our Atlanta station, if you haven't heard what happened here, May 14th, 2022, we had a great tragedy in Buffalo where 10 African Americans were killed in a grocery store, and who all because they were African American, and the person literally said it. And to know that he looked at churches, and this was one of the churches, and to know that he looked at other places where we shop is a tragedy. So we begin this show in honor and respect of those who have gone on and those who are still here and who are suffering. All right, let's get to, matter of fact, why don't we do this? Why don't we pay the bills?
You got it.
And give a transition, and then we'll be right back after our sponsors.
When it comes to something as personal as your clothes, you need to deal with somebody you can trust. That's why so many people turn to Hobson's Dry Cleaning, conveniently located in the heart of the community at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming.
When you take your clothes to Hobson's, you can trust that they'll be ready on time.
You can trust that your whites will be white.
You can trust that you'll always get a fair price and service with a smile.
You can even trust that you won't have to get out of your car if you don't want to. Hobson's has a drive-through window for your convenience.
Trust is what it's all about at Hobson's Dry Cleaning.
Hobson's Dry Cleaning, your one-stop dry cleaners serving the community for over 30 years at 874 East Delavan at the corner of Wyoming. Call 891-8298. That's 891-8298.
Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home has 3 locations to serve you in Buffalo. 347 Peckham, 2258 Bailey Avenue, and Providence Memorial Chapel at 1275 Sycamore. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes offers traditional services, and they have services for all faiths. And at Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes, they have air-conditioned parlors and chapels. Financing is available, as is limousine service. At those difficult moments in your life, Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes is available where you are with counseling services. Call toll-free 877-885-7734. That's 877-885-7734. Or locally 845-5545. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Homes. We are here to serve you, here to serve this present age. Call today, toll-free 877-885-7734. Or email info@brianklewisfuneralhome.com.
And we're back, so welcome Atlanta, Georgia, ATL, and Buffalo, New York. Listen, jurors are so important, and some people might not realize how important it is, but let me put it in perspective for you, and then I've got some people here talk about it. Here's just one question, well, 2. If you get a notice, what would you do? And I want you to tell me on social media, if you get a jury notice, or if you have, what have you done? And nobody's going to look you up and put you in jail. Just want to know your opinion. And second of all, if you were on trial and you need a jury of your peers, are you okay if nobody on that jury looks like you? Introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Christine Farrow. I am the Commissioner of Jurors for Erie County. So in a nutshell, what my job consists of, I am responsible for jury operations in all of the state courts in Erie County. So that's 3 city courts, county court, State Supreme Court and 37 town and village courts. And I am also responsible for supplying my colleagues here with qualified jurors when there is a jury trial.
No, you stay right there. I got a couple questions, then we're going to come around. So, I mean, because this is important. You're educating me right now. I had no idea you had all of Erie County.
Correct.
And your job is to do what specifically?
Supply all of those courts in Erie County with qualified jurors and anything related to the jury operations in those courts.
So when a judge, which we have two of them here, two of my favorite, when a judge needs a jury, your office is contacted?
Yep, it starts with me.
And then you start the process of doing what?
Sending out qualification questionnaires, reviewing those qualifications, which we'll get into. The summonses I send out as well. I provide orientation to the jurors. I help with jury selection on the civil side, but it all starts with my office.
All right. Now, we've got a judge with us who, if you'll introduce yourself and what court you're over.
Hi, I'm Judge Susan Eagan. I'm from Erie County Court, and so my jurisdiction is primarily felonies. I do have civil jurisdiction, but the bulk of what I do are the criminal cases, and we have quite a few jury trials, and so I work very closely with Dr. Farrow when I need a jury, people to come in to be selected for a jury.
So when a case is before you and there's a need for a jury, you have nothing to do. Well, you do, but the initial of picking who will come to be interviewed, correct?
That's correct. And so, Dr. Farrow can speak to this in more depth, but once she qualifies the jurors and she knows how many judges are picking on a particular day, she randomly calls those jurors into the building. And then she randomly selects which ones are going to be coming to my courtroom. And so I don't know who's coming in my courtroom until the door opens and they start walking in. And then we go through a selection process once they're in the courtroom as far as determining, how long the trial is going to be. Do people have vacations? Do they have childcare issues, right? We don't want to, incredibly inconvenience someone or create a hardship. But once we find the jurors that are actually available during the time frame we need, then we go through a whole process of explaining what a trial is and what the standards of law are and ask them how they feel about various things like the presumption of innocence and the burden of proof. And then the lawyers have an opportunity to ask them some more specific questions about the case itself. And then the lawyers start going through the process of who will actually sit on the jury.
All right, and we have one other judge, and then we're going to get down to brass tactics. One other judge who I know very, very well, if you tell them who you are and what court you're over.
Hi, everyone. I'm Craig Hanna. I sit on the State Supreme Court, and now I'm assigned to the Appellate Division, and I am grateful to be here today. And as my colleague said, our job is to really tell everybody the importance of jury service. We're not going to call it jury duty. It's service.
Why do you say that? That's important.
Service, because it's you giving back to your community. As you alluded to when we first started off, Bishop, is that individuals, when they get arrested or they get hurt, let's say in a car accident, and you want a jury of your peers have to give up their time and their talent and their ability. They have to serve. And when you come in there and everyone is trying that, and I'm going to try to be as diplomatic as possible.
Not on this show.
But you said it, they all got excuses of how they can't serve. And we tell them that if you want a diverse cross-section of people, you can't have everyone from your walk of life thinking of a reason not to serve.
So I'm going to have you hold the mic for a minute, and everybody who is now, the folks in Atlanta might not know you're an African-American male. Everybody in Western New York knows who you are. So for our Atlanta audience, let's talk about stigma of serving in a jury as an African-American, and then having, if you have a case of someone who is from your, let's say, East Side, and now I got to return back to the East Side. Have you ever run into that? Is that a problem?
I believe people do say that could be a problem, especially in some criminal cases, and I know Judge Eagan may want to touch on it too.
And anybody can, by the way.
But the reason why I think we have to tell people that it's your serving, and I noticed this from me just going back and forth to community, churches, supermarket, sometimes you run into individuals that you saw in court. We see so many people, I smile and say hi to them, right?
Yeah.
I don't realize they may have maybe a slight issue with me.
Yeah.
But then when I talk to them,
Talk about that for a second. What do you mean by a slight issue with you?
like they may think I'm the person that got them in trouble, or I was the person that sentenced them. I'm the person that didn't release their child when their child hurt another child. But then when you kick it with them and tell them, like, I'm a cog in the wheel, and our job is to be fair and to be just. And you want someone up there from your walk of life to be fair and just, because we're not going to have any prejudice. We're not going to have any preconceived notions. We're going to listen to you without prejudice. We're going to make sure that your point come across and you feel that you got your day in court, because you look up there like, oh, my God, I can empathize with that person. And that's what we're telling jurors. When you're sitting on the jury, you become the judge of the facts. Like we share in the process. Like I may tell you I become like your legal instructor. I tell you what the law is, but the jurors decide whether the person is guilty or innocent, or if they're liable or not liable in civil cases. So it's so important. It's critically important. And our job, and again, I can talk forever, so I'm gonna give the mic to Judge.
No, it's fine.
A second.
We have time.
Okay.
If you all have time, here
Yes.
come the judge. Okay.
But the thing is that we just got to instill in people that I know you're giving up your time. You probably have child care, you're leaving work, but we're going to tell you you're going to get paid extra now. They passed the law that you get paid extra for jury duty. And you might have to pay for parking. You got other issues. We're going to let you know that when we talk to people and we poll them afterwards, the jurors are like so impressed about the process because it opens their eyes what's going on. And a lot of them want to reserve after they do that first.
Really?
Service. Yes.
So I've served one time. Have you ever served, Mark?
I've been I think I've been called once in Delaware and once here. The one here was in federal court, and once I told them I worked in government, the prosecution was like, goodbye.
So I have served once, and I was kind of excited to serve, and it was a civil case. And so I was working at the post office, so we got paid from the post office. And, I think we couldn't take the other part. But the first day of trial, we didn't even get to trial. They settled. I was so disappointed. Now, good for everybody else, right? But I think about that stigma. Judge, have you seen that? And is that a problem?
I have seen that, and we've actually selected jurors that have then been sworn, and then they come back the next day and they say, you know what, I live in the neighborhood where this happened. I have children that go to school in this neighborhood. I don't feel comfortable, right? And so, we're not trying to make anyone uncomfortable. We're not trying to put anyone in a bad spot. And had this juror said that before they were selected, they would likely have been excused. And so all the parties agreed to excuse this juror. We were still in the process of jury selection, and so we replaced that juror. But it's a common sentiment that people say, well, I don't want to be part of this. Or people will approach and say, listen, this is done. I know, like, I've watched the system work, right? They may have some very negative experiences with law enforcement or, have friends or family. But the key for people to understand is it's not done. It's not done until the jury says it's done. And I do not have the most power in that room as the judge. The jury has all of the power. The jury decides what the facts are. They decide what witnesses are credible. They decide the verdict. And, I had last March, I had 3 trials right in a row. I had a guilty, a not guilty, a guilty. The not guilty, the gentleman absolutely did what he was accused of doing, but the prosecution didn't prove it.
Wow.
So the jury did what they were supposed to do, and that was the right result.
So I think this is important because people are on social media saying, oh, I didn't know this, or I'm learning, never got caught, but I heard. So when the jury says guilty or not guilty, you as the judge cannot overturn that, even if you believe they're guilty.
The only thing, if it's an acquittal, meaning a not guilty, I cannot overturn that. If someone is found guilty and the proof is not there, I can overturn that.
I never knew that.
Yes.
So the jury, and you call it service. I've been calling it jury duty. I think I haven't put it on, but I think it is a important distinction to talk about that. Have you ever had cases that people left jury duty who were the peer of the person accused? So where you had a black male, black female, yeah, we'll just get right down to it because I have a feeling when I get back over to the boss that there is a shortage, but where a black person left the jury and left that jury where it was not balanced
Meaning
their
that
peers.
they offer an excuse to be removed.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. And and I'm also one of our youth part judges, and I will have jurors of color say, "I have kids these age. I don't want to sit here," and I can relate to that, right? I mean, that's a challenge for all of us in the system, with especially the younger offenders. But we need that perspective, right? We need that point of view to say, "Listen, I've got kids. I know they make bad decisions," right? And put that in context of the facts of the case, because we want all perspectives, right? We don't want all 80-year-old perspectives, right? We want diversity of thought in age and race and gender and life experience and education, because it's that collective conscience of the community that then decides the case. And there have been studies done that say that juries that are more diverse deliberate longer, and they analyze the facts in more detail. And in civil cases, plaintiffs of color often receive lower awards than similarly situated plaintiffs that are not of color.
Okay, say that for the audience so that they understand exactly what you mean.
So if you are a person of color and you have a civil claim, whether it was from a car
Now,
accident.
civil being money, folks. We're not talking about criminal. We talk about civil. We're usually talking about somebody who is seeking compensation, financial compensation for a situation.
For an injury, like a car accident, a slip and fall, a medical malpractice. And when they go to trial, they often receive a lower financial award than someone that is a plaintiff that is not of color.
Wow.
And that's why it's important for the juries to represent the community, right? So that everybody is being treated fairly, every injury is being treated and compensated equally. And it has, I do criminal, so that's sort of where my wheelhouse. But this is across the board. And Dr. Farrow will tell you that most of the trials we have here in Erie County are civil. So that matters all the more that we have the entire community at the table.
And so, Doctor, because now I know, I mean, in 15 minutes I've gotten all this information. When you all talked about coming onto the show, why? What was it that you wanted to get out to our community and wanted to come on the show to talk about it?
So about 3 years ago, under the direction of our former administrative judge, Judge Kevin Carter, and now under the direction of Judge Amy Martocci and Chief Judge Elizabeth Wolford from District Court, they came together and said, you know what, we are having the same issue. And I'll be crystal clear, when it comes to jury diversity, it's not an issue central just to Western New York or Erie County. It's a stubborn challenge that courts across the country face. Here in New York, we are just leading the way. We are what we believe to be a first of its kind initiative in which federal court and state court, we pulled our resources together and said, we need to further examine this issue. So that's what we did. We went out into the community. We held a series of focus groups because we wanted to hear directly from the residents as to what may be your barriers or perceived barriers. And we thought like, oh yeah, it's going to be childcare, it's going to be pay. And those issues were on the list, but the top issues were lack of trust. They have no trust in the system and they don't know any information about the system. So our data told us that, you know what, you need to ramp up your outreach efforts and you need to work on the lack of trust. Now, we all know that trust is not something that's going to be, built or rebuilt overnight. It's going to take, numerous small interactions with the community. And I always tell folks that, their truth is their truth. It's not for us to tell them what their truth is or is not. Right. But then there's also facts. So that's what we do. We go out into the community and we educate them on, okay, you may have heard this from whatever narrative someone told you, in your family or you heard from the community, but we are here as the courts to tell you the truth about the process. We are here to let you know what actually goes on. A big thing was, oh, well, you said you've only been called once. And that's because it's a random process. When we send out our summonses and questionnaires, we have 5 source lists. And again, New York State, we are literally leading the way when it comes to source lists. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV, so I'll tell you what the law says, and then I'm going to interpret it in how, I let people know what the process is like, and then if I'm wrong, I'll have one of the judges correct the record. So the law states that names of prospective jurors need to be selected from a fair cross-section of the community.
Okay.
So I look at it as when you're going fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're only putting your net down in one area. You're probably not going to get a lot of fish, or you're probably going to get all fish of the same kind. But if you cast your net wide,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to get more people and you're going to get more variety. So how the courts meet the fair cross-section process, we use 5 source lists: New York State Department of Tax, Social Service, Voter Registration, DMV, and Department of Labor.
Now, this is interesting because someone online just a few minutes ago thought that that you got it only from voter registration. It says, I'm learning, never got called, but I heard they picked from voter registration. It's not just voter registration.
It's 5.
So you said Department of Social Services.
Yep.
You got to excuse me. I got a crown that's too big. You're on power to the people. We just go to it. So, Department of Social Service, as in people who are receiving benefits?
Correct.
I absolutely love that.
You want to hear another thing about why New York State is the leader? You can actually volunteer to put your name into our random pool.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Online, did you see that?
Yes.
What they say, Mark?
Hold on, let me
They
find
said
it.
something about volunteer, and I was getting ready to say.
Shout out to that person that said that.
I was getting ready to say no.
Yes, you can.
I've never in my life heard that you can volunteer to be considered for jury duty.
You're volunteering to put your name into our random pool.
Right.
And it's extremely, extremely important that folks realize everything is selected at random, as Judge Eagan indicated.
Wow.
When we send out the qualification questionnaire in the summons, we know very little about the individual. We know your name, we know your date of birth, and we know where you live.
Okay.
We don't know your race. We don't know your gender.
Oh,
We don't know
doctor,
where-
come on. Shaniqua Monet on here. If she puts her name Shaniqua Monet,
but
you don't know Shaniqua. No, I don't know anybody in Clarence Center named Shaniqua Monet.
It just, Bishop.
They all got the Shaniquas on here. This is one of our sisters.
We don't know. We don't know that. Everything is at random, and it's randomized, so we cannot manipulate who goes.
So
where.
you can't look at that list and say, "Oh, I believe Shaniqua is black. I'm putting her in."
Absolutely,
It will not. It does not happen. I want to get the myth off of all of this. Before you move on, I got to get back to this volunteer part. If a person, did you know this, Judge?
I didn't bring any postcards. I didn't know.
Really? You
I didn't bring any postcards.
You didn't bring any postcards. There might be 20 people right now who really, because listen, I'm semi-retired. If I was fully retired now, I'd probably be signed up because you want something to do, right? You'd stay active. How can a person put their name in to be considered?
My staff is really going to be disappointed with me because I didn't bring the postcards. But you
Okay.
go to nycourts.gov/juror, and on the left-hand side, there's an option that indicates volunteer. And again, you're volunteering to put your name into our random pool.
Right.
Everything is at random. So it's not like I'm going to volunteer and sign me up for this grand jury that's going to be impaneled in August because they sit for 6
So
weeks.
they
and
can't
I
be
need-
like,
No.
Pookie about to go on trial.
No, it doesn't work like that.
I want to be on.
Hey, everyone on the block, sign up.
Everybody in the hood volunteer for Pookie's trial. Can't do it.
It does not work like that. And as Judge Eagan indicated, we have far more civil cases than we do our criminal cases. And we always let folks know that it's not going to be anything like you see on TV. And, just by the nature of who we are as people, we're automatically attracted to, the murders, the robberies, and things like that. But we have far more civil cases, and those cases are equally as important.
So, and Shaniqua, and I know there's a delay with our platform. social media, but you said, and if you could answer this, Shaniqua, you said, I'm okay with never getting a call and staying out of courtrooms of any kind. Shaniqua, if you could comment and let us know why you're okay with that, because I think that that's so important to the conversation. Go ahead.
And I was just getting ready to say, I think that social service piece is important, because if we're talking just about data, and the most common people that end up in court are those on the lower financial spectrum, that's a way to get a jury of my peers. They're in the same boat that I am, in one way or another. So I think that is incredible, and that's another pool I did not know of either. So that's incredible.
Another thing that I want to be very clear about the law, and again, I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. The law does not indicate that just because I'm a black female, that my jury has to be made up.
Let's talk about it.
So when you hear
So what's my peers?
People from the community. Your peers are folks from the community. And another beauty is that we don't. There's nobody.
We got so many questions.
Yeah, there's nobody who's exempt from serving. So again, you can't say because I'm a police officer I'm exempt. In every single profession, group can make the argument that, you know what, I can't do this because of X. I can't do this because of Y. But again,
it's community. Okay.
Peers are people from your community.
Mark, you had a sigh all in the mic.
Because who and what defines community? That's such an ambiguous term. And so because I live in Buffalo, does that community stretch?
Our community is consistent of Erie County, because that's where the pool of jurors are drawn from, the county as a whole.
So countywide, so let me come to Judge. Judge.
Oh boy!
Put a ribbon on it for you.
You put a ribbon. Go ahead. You put a ribbon on it, because obviously, and you're still in our community. Let me say this: you're an appellate division, high court. You're still around the hood. I see you all the time in the hood. You come from the area. You ain't always been on the bench. If things had been different, you might have been in front of the bench instead of behind the bench.
Ain't that the truth?
What's your peers?
I'm going to do a quick little history lesson, and then I'll get into what our peers are.
I love this.
Our American jurisprudence system is started by King, I think it's King George, and it's in Runnymede. You ever heard when you go to Canada, they claim you can't get out of jail till the Queen comes back?
Right.
Well, it's a truth to that, because before you didn't get out of jail till you saw the King. So the noblemen one day said, we are not going to let the king decide our fate, take our land, go to him for decisions. The people are going to do it.
Come on and teach.
And so they came and they surrounded the king, said, we ain't going to give you no more money. We're going to burn down your castle unless the people decide. And then our system put a ribbon on it. It's not just going to be the rich people. It's going to be all the people from all walks of life. So our peers are not people that have the same pigmentation as you. It's the people of the community. You can be black, you can be white, you can be Hispanic, you can be rich, you can be middle income, you can be poor. We want a cross section. And I think Dr. Farrow was saying, or Judge Eagan, the reason why we really want younger people is there's a communication breakdown. And I say this all the time.
Absolutely.
And I know Judge Eagan and Dr. Farrow are sick of me saying it. Like, I don't want somebody in that jury room to say, I heard a guy said he was standing on business, and I don't want them to think they were standing on top of Wegmans.
Good. Yeah.
You want somebody in that jury room
right.
like, no, Miss Sue.
Right.
Sue. He means that the guy was about taking care of his business.
Yeah.
You know? Not that he was on top of a building.
Yeah.
So that's why we need that diversity of thought. And a lot of times, young people don't think they're going to be heard. But as we're going to tell you, everybody's opinion there is equally important. And then I know Judge Eagan does it. All our judges do it. We tell them you do not compromise your convictions just because you want to get out that room.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be people there trying to talk you down.
Yeah.
They're going to try to say, you don't know what you're talking about. You didn't hear. It's like, whoa. The judge said we can go back in that courtroom and have all that testimony read back. You know, my opinion is just as important as you. And if you ever saw that movie 12 Angry Men, you can be in there for days, weeks.
But don't you think that's what some people fear? Is that I'm going to be tied up with this trial for weeks.
Yes, they do. But most trials, and please, my colleagues, correct me if I'm wrong, are done in a week or two.
Okay.
Federal trials go longer.
It's rare.
Yeah.
Judge, I'm going to ask you this because you are the lightest person in the room. I get why they're here and why it's important. Why is it important to you?
It's important to me because I need there to be integrity in the process. And I oversee this process. And if there isn't integrity in the process, I don't want to be overseeing it, right? Like,
Wow.
I want everyone that comes into my courtroom to be heard and to be treated with respect and to feel that they have had a fair shake. And, you know, that may still mean that they're convicted, right? And that may still mean that I have to sentence them. But I don't want them to feel like they've been railroaded, not on my watch. And so it's important to me that the process works the way it was intended to work and that people feel that, you know, they have really, truly received justice, whether you're a defendant or a victim, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, because victims come in and, you know, we've you know, let's play out a scenario. You have a victim of color and a defendant that is a white person, right? We don't want that victim to feel like, oh, he wasn't convicted because of who I am, right? Like, we want everyone in that courtroom to feel like the jury is paying attention to them and the jury has an open mind and listening to what they have to say.
And I really appreciate that. And, you know, I've followed you for years, and I've seen you when you needed to be tough and protect our communities. And I've seen you when you've been brought to tears and cared about the people who were either victims or people who you really felt were innocent. And I've seen that. I am a news junkie, and so I wanted to first of all appreciate both of you, but especially for you, this being important to you. Got a question about AI. Do you see AI becoming involved in any way in jury selection in the future?
That's certainly not my wheelhouse. So I'll have one of the judges talk about that. But AI is certainly something that we need to watch out for as a whole.
Do you mean as far as the lawyers using it for selection?
No, I mean
or?
as far as for selecting this random pool. Right now, what does a computer do? So it's kind of got some computer stuff in it now. And when we look at AI changing so much across the world, I wonder, will it become easier or harder with AI? But obviously, that hasn't occurred yet where it is. So we're still doing the way of a computer takes all of the names and randomly chooses who will get a letter.
Correct. And it's based on the number of trials that we have going on. And I'll take a step back to further explain the process. So you're sent a summons at random. You're assigned a number. It can be, for the sake of conversation, we'll use 1 through 1,000. And this is based on what the judges tell me that they need. And we send the summonses out 3 weeks in advance.
Okay.
From the time Judge Eagan tells me she has a trial 3 weeks out, there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. The matter can be adjourned. The defendant can take a plea. The defendant can opt for a bench trial. Any number of things that happen. So if you're number 999 and we never get to your number, the system will give you what we call good service credit for 8 years. And I can't stress enough that we are only asking someone to participate in this process once every 8 years.
And that's it.
That's it. Unless you choose to volunteer. Once every 8 years. That's all we're asking for. And we're very, very juror-centered in our office. We have a lot of folks that cannot serve for whatever reason. We just want you to call and communicate with us, because you can certainly find yourself in trouble for skipping jury service, much like taxes. You may think you're going to get away with it for, a few years, and then Uncle Sam eventually finds you. And the same thing that can happen with us. You can be fined up to $1,000 and be put in jail for
not communicating.
Yes, and put in jail for up to 30 days. And once you do all that, you're still going to have to serve. So we tell folks to, by all means, pick up the phone, give us a call. I know there's a certain part of the population, the younger folks, they don't like talking to people on the phone.
And I got a young person.
So he or she can
who's
always
about to bring you. Come on.
they can always email us. We are very, very juror-centered in our office. Our ultimate goal is to get individuals to serve.
Right.
Because the process, again, it's nothing like you see on TV. And as the judges here indicated, most folks that we talk to after serving, they thoroughly enjoy serving, and they have
on
such
a jury.
A greater appreciation for the system when they're done serving.
Tell them your approximate age or your age.
30.
So this 30-year-old basically runs all of operations for all of the True Bethel network. Have you ever got a jury summons?
No, not yet.
Okay. Real talk, because this is the boss. Like, she runs all of jury service all over Erie County. She's got a doctorate, a PhD. This is a judge. That's a judge. If you get one, what's your first thought when you get it in the mail? Honest. Because they need to know this.
I don't know jury duty.
Why? And at 30, why?
I wouldn't know what to expect, kind of.
Okay.
Doing jury duty.
Mm-hmm. So but you would respond.
Yes.
But your initial thought would be, I don't know, because I don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Now, if they broke it down to you, and you can go back, I know you were going to get the car, so you didn't. If they broke it down, would you then be less apprehensive?
Yes, absolutely.
So can I add on to this?
Absolutely.
Bishop?
Do what you got to do.
Not knowing what to expect is completely fine. The minimum qualifications to serve as a juror, folks tend to think, I need to have this level of education. I need to, be an expert in this and an expert in that. Absolutely not. The minimum qualifications, you need to be at least 18 years of age.
Okay.
You need to reside in Erie County. You need to be a citizen of the United States. Just have a basic understanding of English. You cannot have a felony conviction unless you have your certificate of good relief from the Department of Corrections. And then you cannot have served on a jury in federal court or New York State in the past 6 years unless you actually did the volunteer option. And then you come in, the judges will explain everything that you need. You don't need to know anything special about the law. That's what you have the judge there for.
So she's explaining, and of course, very quickly, because if you were on the other side of the bench, would you want people, this is why they're here, because of a lack of diversity of people answer, would you want somebody from the hood who look like you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, and
Yes.
if not, say it.
Yes.
Yeah, I know I would. I want somebody who, at least one Christian, because I don't want to be like, I don't want everybody to be like atheists, like, he going to jail. He paying that fine. He paying that for that car accident, right? So I want somebody who, so if there are no people like you who are on the jury for somebody who that you could identify with. They talked about earlier about somebody saying they stand on business and a jury going in the back thinking they mean they're standing on top of a business. But if you're in the room, you're able to say that's not what it means.
I would want to be on a good case.
What does that mean? And then I'll come back around. We almost out of time. What does that mean on a good case?
I mean, if you're in the court and you're doing a jury, I would want to be on like an interesting case, something like interesting.
Okay, not
boring,
like a slip
boring.
and fall.
Yeah, not like that.
But would you serve?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I think it's important to get that perspective live and live in color while we're doing it. Judge?
Well, just to piggyback on what Dr. Farrow was saying, as far as like the skills you need to be a juror, it's what you do every day in your life, right? Like you encounter people and they say things to you and you assess them as far as, can I trust this person? Is this person believable? That's all you need to do as a juror, right? Because you're looking at the witnesses, you're looking at the evidence, and you're like, does this feel right? Like, is this person, being honest in what they're saying to me? And then we as the judges give you the law, so you just need to listen to that, and you put it together, and you come up with your verdict. So anyone can be a juror.
So I have someone on here who utilizes a wheelchair full time. And she says, if I get a letter for jury duty, I'm having my doctor write a note due to my condition. The courts are all handicap or wheelchair accessible, correct?
Yes.
And how do you accommodate for those special situations where they might need to be on oxygen during the trial and all that?
Whatever they need, we will make accommodations. Our courtrooms are wired for people who have hearing losses, and so there are special headsets that they wear that magnify what's already being magnified by the microphones. I have had a service dog on my jury because the person needed the service dog with them. We have had people come in with limited mobility. We accommodate them. We have people that are on medications on a timed schedule. We accommodate that. I had a young man of color who said, I want to serve, but you know what? I'm taking a class and I got to be out of here by 4:30 every day. We stopped at 4:15 and got him to his class.
Wow!
Right? Because we want people to serve. We were picking a grand jury several months ago, and there was a little woman that comes up with a cane, and I was sure she was going to say, "I can't get down here, like it's too much." And she's like, "I'm not available on Mondays and Tuesdays, but I can do."
Are you serious?
And so we put her on the jury that she was available for, and so we want it to be accessible to everyone. We will do anything that's reasonable to make it accessible.
Mark, if I get called, now that I know that, I'm going to be like, listen, my religion calls for lobster on Friday.
I need my Friday fish fry.
Taco Tuesday. I did not know that the court.
So Dr. Farrow buys lunches. So,
what? So if I'm vegan, if I'm this is really gluten-free, all these things that we might laugh about, but these are really things that people usually don't talk about.
Because it's important to communicate with us. If we don't know that, we can't provide you an accommodation.
Wow.
So that's why, and again, I can't stress enough, we are very, very juror-centered. And we do realize that, serving would be a hardship to someone if they have a medical condition. Just give us a call. We will let you know what you need to provide us to be excused. And so, again, just communicate.
Or not to be excused.
Exactly, because I review all of the requests for excusals and postponements. And if there's, some letters that don't have enough information, I reach back out to the juror and say, you need to provide us this information. I get letters for excusals from small business owners. And I have to tell them, unfortunately, this is not allowed. There's no exemption for being a small business owner. And let's just say the person is a landscaper. I'll say, you know what? Okay, it's summer. Are you busy in the winter? When is your business
And then
slowing?
you put them back in the pool.
And we will postpone their service to a time when their business is slow. It's extremely important to communicate with us. And I can tell you, I only have one layer of what I can do in terms of excusals. And it's not anything permanent unless the doctor's note explicitly says permanent. But I can tell you, out of all the judges that I work with, they are not in the business of causing anybody any unnecessary hardships. You go up to the courtroom, you explain your situation to the judge, and they're not making you say whatever your issue is in open court. You approach the bench.
Let's talk about
private.
that. So if you do have a real problem, everybody in that room, because now this is why it's so important. Sandra King on Facebook says, when I was summoned to jury duty, I didn't like the waiting game in the large room with everyone. If I was called and ready to go when I got there, I wouldn't mind serving on a jury. And now I think this is so important. All of this just happened, organically, that when it's something you need to share privately, it will not be shared in that big room.
Absolutely not. And I'll let Judge E or Judge Hannah talk about at times why there is a wait. But Jess, what's her name, Sandra? Just her presence being there was enough. If you want to talk
as
about
the mic is going to you, when I say social media is lit up about this show, Jaquel Stevens says, to feel there's a prejudice by the way I look alone. And I think that's part of the reason you're saying we need a diverse pool, because some people could be judged by the way they look alone. Judge?
Absolutely. And so as far as the question, if you have something you need to discuss, specifically in a criminal case, the lawyers need to be a part of that conversation, but we do it privately at the bench, right? And we, it's not broadcast to the entire courtroom. So if you have a medical issue or you have something, personal, or if this is a case that the facts of the case are hitting you in a particular way based on your life experiences, you can share that with us in a private moment. You don't have to tell the whole room. And then, you're very likely excused because we're not trying to traumatize anyone or make them unhappy or give them any kind of hardship. But, to Dr. Farrow's point about the small business owner, if this is a financial hardship for you to be here for the next 5 days, we will excuse you. We want you to be able to pay your bills. At the same time, New York has the highest rate of pay for jurors. It's $72 a day.
Somebody already put it on social media, right?
Somebody sure did.
$72 a day, and I'll just make a pitch to any employers that may be listening. Jury service is important. It's important to the community that those businesses operate in, and the more employers that pay their jurors, the more likely people are going to feel comfortable.
Post office. When I was working at the post office, Mark, you had a question?
Yes.
Oh, yes. So a couple people have put this point in here, 2 points, but it's kind of the same question, that they talked about serving on a jury. They didn't want to serve because they felt like their opinion didn't matter and that the fate was predetermined. So that was the one thing. But can you also speak to jurors feeling like, I don't want to put somebody else's fate on the line and I have to make that decision? A few people have made that comment. So
that's important.
That is important. And you know what? There's a whole series of questions that I ask as part of the jury selection coming from the court, because sometimes it's easier for me to ask than for the lawyers. And we do ask, do you have any objection to sitting in judgment over someone? And a lot of people do. A lot of people have, religious faiths or just personal convictions where they feel like, who am I to be making this decision? And, if that's the way they feel, we excuse them, right? Because we want them to be able to participate in the process and to come to a resolution and a verdict here, and to be able to deliberate with their fellow jurors. And as far as whether their opinions are going to be heard, I had a case not too long ago that ended up in what we call a hung jury, and it was 11-1 because one person did not believe the proof was there, and we kept sending them back saying, please try again, keep an open mind, and because we want the defendant to have some certain result here and not have to do the trial again. But ultimately, that juror just felt strongly, and so we scheduled it for another trial, right? And and then ultimately that defendant worked out a plea deal, and we resolved the case that way. But that juror's opinion mattered, and it dictated the outcome of that case.
We're down to our last few minutes. I want to give everybody a last 1 minute of anything you want to say, whether it's on this topic or not.
One thing I want to thank you for actually sharing this information with your listening audience, and we truly appreciate it. And I'm going to use this saying by everyone knows the saying by Paul Revere: "The British are coming, the British are coming." Well, Paul Revere wasn't the only person that rode. There's a guy called William Dawes that nobody talk about, and he went the other way and said the British are coming.
Wow!
But the message is, it's the messenger. So by coming on your show and telling people the importance of jury service, and it's coming from people that they respect, like you, Bishop, and Mark, and people that they really endear themselves to, we believe our message can get across better, that we really need them out there, and we want to thank you for being there. And back to Mark's point, one voice matters. You just got to be in the room where it happens. And when you're in that room, you make sure your voice is being heard. We'll tell you when you come back out, your opinion is just as important as anyone else. Do not compromise your opinion. Go back in there and deliberate. And if you can't come, you come back out and talk to the judge.
And if you don't believe it, you don't believe it.
That's right. And that's what the system is for.
And you stand on business.
Judge,
last words.
Well, Bishop, I really want to thank you for giving us this opportunity. As Dr. Farrow talked about, we are trying to get the word out. We're trying to educate people. We're trying to answer questions and, impress upon them the importance of being part of the system. Because if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem, right? And so we want this system to work right. We want there to be true justice for everyone involved in it. So we need everybody to come to the table.
As the mic is going to Dr. Julie Anderson says on Facebook, representation is needed for a fair trial. It's important, and those who are dedicated to make a difference understand the process and stand for justice. Doctor, I don't want you to talk to me as an employee.
Okay.
Because I feel a passion that you have for this beyond your job. Just talk to me as a woman who's a person who's concerned about this.
Well, I'm just concerned that not knowing could lead to greater consequences that folks aren't even aware of. And we know that there is lack of trust in the system. And our committee, and I know that, it's a Herculean task to build that trust. But we are truly committed to educating folks on the importance of jury service. I'm an educator outside of working for the courts. So it means a lot to me to go out to the community, people that look like me, and to share with them the facts versus what their truth is. So we take this, and I take this personally as a call to action, to when you get that summons in the mail, you need to consider it as an invitation to participate in something great. We walk around and saying, we got the right to do this, we got the right to do that. But with rights comes responsibilities. I mean, this is in our Constitution. It's a right that everyone has. So if you are a community group, if you are a community leader, and again, because we can't do this on our own, we need outlets like Power to the People. If there's a group that you want us to talk to, no matter how big or how small, we will go. I think Judge Hannah and Judge Eagan, they've been literally all over the county with me. And I can pick up the phone or send an email to say, hey, I'm going to talk to these group of people. And it's never a no. It's like, okay, let's go. So again, this is my call to action to everyone who's listening. Let us know where you are. We will literally meet you where you are and to give you the information.
Well, we're going to give you an opportunity to come before the True Bethel congregation and bring those cards. Bring those volunteer cards.
They're not going to be.
Bring the volunteer. That's all right. We're going to make it up, and we're going to get it out there. So all of my colleagues out there, how can they reach out to you if they did want somebody to come out to their group or organization?
716-845-2555. Hit option 5. Or you can send an email to Erie Jury. It's ERIEJURY. It's all one word, at nycourts.gov.
We'll roll it again. Listen, folks, I got to get ready to go. Want to thank you for listening. Thank you for all of you who are on social media and all of your comments. I want to thank Hobson's, the Dr. Dry Cleaner, 874 East Delavan Avenue. Thank you, Mrs. Hobson, for continuing to sponsor and bring power to the people. Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home, in your hour of need, 347 Peckham, 2528 Bailey, and 1275 Sycamore, in your hour of need. Call the operator or look on Google or do whatever you got to do, but ask for Brian K. Lewis Funeral Home. It's been another great week.
Make sure, you gotta shout out, before we get in trouble. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and mother figures. Listen, we got
Happy Mother's Day. My time is up. Until next week.
Power to the people.
Thank you all. Y'all are great.